Welcome to 2021, boys, and I'm glad to join you again. This is Mrs. Jansen with our first project in the new year. We are going to be continuing what we have left from 2020, our last lesson, which was learning how to draw deciduous trees. And so the supplies that you are going to need today, you are going to need an eraser, a pencil, a Sharpie marker. It would probably be good if you have a fine Sharpie marker like this, and the ultra fine Sharpie marker. You will also need your practice drawings that you did of deciduous trees last time. And then you're going to want, I think you just have one variegated watercolor page from a couple of weeks ago left. And this is where we are going to be putting our deciduous tree. That now that we've practiced them, we're getting better, and so we're going to put it on the background. What will end up happening is, you can see here, this is a small sample that I've done where we will be putting our deciduous tree in. We might add a little extra, like a silhouette of a bird or a squirrel or a cat, whatever you want to add to your tree. We'll be doing that on our variegated background. So let's get started. So hopefully you had a really good time working on your practice deciduous tree drawings. So these trees, we talked about this last time, they almost always start thicker at the bottom. Oftentimes they will have major sections that break off from the base of that trunk. Sometimes that breaking off will come lower down. But after that, they perpetually divide into thinner and thinner branches. Now, if we were getting really technical and spending a lot of time, we could add even more and more smaller branches. But I love to draw trees that are deciduous in the winter or at the end of fall, because they're easier to do without all of their leaves. So you want to keep your sketches, you should have two of them, to the side, and that will be in reference to the one that we are going to do on our watercolor background. We are going to start with our pencil. My recommendation to you is to use a pencil first because it can be erased. When we are erasing on our watercolor background, the eraser can take off some of the paint. So we want to try and not have to do that. Oftentimes you will, you'll put your pencil mark on, and if you don't like it, if it's not way off, we'll just color over it with our black marker, and then you don't need to erase it. So what I want for us to do today is we're going to put in a horizon line. I'm going to put a bit of a kind of a hill on my horizon line, so you can see that it is coming up from the bottom. I will probably put some grass in here later on with the marker. So from here, this is where we're going to put the base of our deciduous tree trunk. And we're going to do it that same way that we did our practice ones. So if you just recently did this, this should just be so easy to switch over and work on this one. I want you to do the same thing, in that I want you to pull your branches totally off the edge. So we're just seeing a little glimpse of the tree. We're not seeing all the rest of the tree, which would be the branches that come off the edge. But for the sake of our drawing, we want to have them coming off of the edge. Now you might say, oh my goodness, Mrs. Jansen, we just did this last week. I do not need special instructions on how to do this now. So my recommendation is, because I agree with you, I think you are going to be capable of doing this without my instructions, because you've already had them and you've already practiced. So I suggest to you to either, you can watch this. I will fast forward this so that it goes by really quick and you can kind of see what I've done. But if you are very confident at this point, you can skip through all of the part where I show you my drawing, and that would be fine. And instead, you can turn on some really nice music to listen to, and you can go ahead and work on your own drawing at the pace that you would like to do. Just remember to pull your branches all off the edge, and they need to get thinner and smaller. So whether you watch this through or you get to the end where you filled in all of your tree trunks and you're ready to add color, that's where I would like you to start up the video again, where we are adding our black marker, using our black marker to make our tree into a silhouette. Once you have a lot of branches in your tree, just like we talked about, now I put a lot of them in because I was kind of having fun filling this space. I might decide that I don't like those. And so when I am adding the black to do the silhouette, I might decide that some of those branches I'm not going to include, and then I can erase them out. We want to take our Sharpie permanent marker. My recommendation actually probably is to start with your ultra fine and to go ahead and start outlining the basic base of the tree trunk. Of course, you can use the bigger one. We'll use the bigger one to fill it in, but sometimes it's nice if you do a little bit thinner and then we decide to change it up. The lines are thinner, so it's easier to kind of change your mind. So again, I will put this in fast pace so you can kind of see what the process looks like. But for the part of your drawing it, I just want you to take your time and get your details right. Make sure that your branches continue and connect, whether they are overlapping or they are crossing behind other branches. There's an area here that I don't know that I like that branch, so I'm going to go in with my bigger eraser and just take out those lines. Now you can see it has lightened the watercolor a little bit, so I'm going to try not to erase anymore. So we have our basic outlines in. I'm going to do that as well on the ground. Now I'm going to go in with my fine point Sharpie marker, and I'm just going to be filling in. And if you want to rotate your painting around so that it's easier to color in, you can go ahead and do that. Now, we talked about this last time, but as we start to color in the branches of our tree, those are what we call our positive space. It's an actual object that is taking up our drawing, but all the spaces in between that are created in our composition, our drawing, those are what we call negative space. And it's fun to watch those appear as we fill in our tree. I'm going to try using another marker. I've pulled out my Crayola marker. It's just black. If you have a black Crayola marker, you are welcome to use that instead of the Sharpie as well. It has a slightly different kind of a green undertone, which makes it a little bit of a different black, but that should be just fine. Go back to my ultra fine marker, Sharpie marker. And I'm going to go ahead and put in some grass kind of next to the bark of my tree and the trunk. Now the ultra fine is so thin. I'm going to go around. So what I did is we could do our whole hill black for the silhouette, but I just think it's going to be a little more interesting leaving this light color in the background. So I've pulled some kind of like what are the roots of the tree showing in the ground. I've put some of those in. I'm going to put some more grass on this edge of the roots. And we'll do that over here too. You could maybe put in a rock if you wanted, a couple of rocks. This is the part where I'll let you get creative and add what you want. I am going to make my rocks into silhouettes as well, where they won't have detail, it's just they're a dark outline. But because we're leaving the ground light, this will help them stand out. I'm going to go in and thicken some of my grass. And I'll do that here too. You can see how I can't get as fine of a line with my Crayola. The last part of this project when it comes to the drawing would be for you to add a little something onto your tree. So in this one I have a tiny little bird way off in the distance. It's a silhouette. You can choose whatever you want to put in your tree. This is your chance to be creative. Like I said, it could be a cat, or a raccoon, or the silhouette of a squirrel or a bird, whatever you would like. But I think it would be fun if you put something in the tree. I'll let you pause the video and take a little break, and then you can think about what you want to put in. I'm really looking forward to what you are going to do. All right, I hope you guys took a moment to think about what kind of animals you want to add to your tree. You do not have to use the ones that I'm going to do, but I'm going to go ahead and show you what that might look like. Otherwise, you can just let it be a surprise and do your design and just post that on Seesaw so I can see it. So what I decided to do was to put a little squirrel in. You can kind of see some squirrel silhouette shapes that I was working on. And I'm going to put in 2 birds. Now this bird, there wasn't a good branch for it to sit on. So I'm actually going to add another branch. You can see that's the outline of it. And I'm going to go ahead and make room for it to sit. So I'll start with my first bird. I have got an oval shape, and then I've got an oval circle. I put on a triangle for the beak, and then behind the branch we're going to have his tail feathers showing. This is all going to be colored in solid black because it's just going to be the silhouette outline. So you can see I'm going to repeat that down here. I did an oval. I'm going to do a little layer of wings, and I'm going to include a beak. So they're kind of facing each other, and I'm going to put a couple tail feathers down here. Now, that seems like a little bit long for the type of birds that we would have here in the winter, like some little sparrows. But I included it anyways because it's kind of fun. So then you're just going to go ahead and color those in. I think I'm going to use my darker markers, my bigger ones, my thicker. And I'll fill those birds in. And then also on this one, I'm going to color in the branch. So we just get the outline of some birds in the trees. This beak something's off about it, but we'll let that be. And then down here, I have an outline for my squirrel. The squirrel is going to take a little bit more skill. So this is kind of like a backwards S. It's our curvy lines. If you want to practice this, you can also look up silhouettes for different animals on Google if you want. But basically we have our curvy line. We have a little triangle here, which will be for the feet. Another oval, just like we did for the bird body. We're going to kind of do that same type of oval for the face with a little triangle ear at the top. And we're going to have, this is again another oval with a part that comes out for its legs. This is not very detailed, but it's a silhouette. So we've got this little squirrel. We're going to just fill in with our black. I'm leaving a little bit of space from where the tail curls so that we'll be able to, when we make it a silhouette, we'll be able to see that it is curled up. So this doesn't have to be perfect. This is just us trying to put some little woodland creatures into our deciduous tree drawing. So there you have it. We've included a little bit of a squirrel and our birds. The last thing we're going to do for this drawing is we are going to take off the tape that we have. Ooh, that took off some of my sky. So I'm going to hold this down and I'm pulling the tape away. You can see it took a little bit of my drawing there, which is too bad. I might have to glue that. We're going to just keep taking off all the sides. If you pull the tape away from the paper, hopefully it won't rip any of your drawing. And there you have it, a deciduous silhouetted tree drawing with some woodland creatures. I would love for you, for the very last thing to do is to put your initials in the bottom right hand corner of your drawing. And you can go ahead and put 21 for 2021 next to your initials so you'll remember what grade you were in when you did this. I hope you had a lot of fun. I really look forward to seeing your final projects on Seesaw. Please post them there, and I look forward to seeing what cute little creatures you add to yours. Until next week, have a great week.